listening to Polymatic.media, episode 54 for February 10th, 2019. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey, John, how's it going?
Very good. In one go.
In one go. Do you want me to go back and screw up the date?
No. It's fine like this. So, how's stuff?
I am getting into busy mode again, but not like, standard, usual, every year busy mode. I haven't done it yet, but I gotta find some spare time in a weekend real soon to take care of like taxes and general life things. But I was asked last year. I'm gonna talk about it in a way where I'm not gonna talk about the specifics, but anyone who knows me can figure out pretty quickly or already knows. I was asked to help participate in building a documentary for something I volunteer with. An organization I volunteer with that's hitting an anniversary age in 2019. So I started amassing up some gear. And, I'm doing it on like the budget. I'm not doing it on I'm not buying an A6400 yet. I know that I've been ready for a camera upgrade for a while. So I think that's on my mind. That's the camera I will buy, and new lenses and the whole ecosystem of stuff. But for this project, for the documentary, the filming and the work that we're doing, I've been resourcing with cameras that I do have. The results have been okay, pretty good considering. But what I've been needing to do is buy lots of photo gear. I bought a bunch of new Viltroxes, actually, this week with a slightly larger, larger LED. They're like 24 inches by 33 inches or something like that.
And for people listening that don't know what a Viltrox is, that's basically just a camera light.
A thin LED light, yeah. Now, these are meant to go on stands. I mean, they are pretty light, and if you tack on batteries, they do have weight. I don't recommend them sticking them on as a video light for a camera. They're more meant to be with stands. You plug them in, or you put on big batteries on the back of these panels. But this kit had 3 of them, and it included a remote, which is kind of neat. So you can kind of remote control them about 20 meters out. So yeah, pretty nice with that considering.
More gadgets, and more gear.
Well, just more gear. And you need it to, you need lighting, right? I bought background kits. So yeah, I've been buying little gear here and there every month, every couple of weeks. I'm finally getting to a yield point that is the only other bits of anything that's next is just more accessories to stuff. I have a couple more like bounce cards, reflectors. I bought some super cheap ones. They're coming today. I got a hard drive, external hard drive, so I can consolidate files too. Last weekend I was away and we were doing some filming, and between me and other individuals who are helping out on this project, I consolidated near 400 gigs.
Wow, okay.
To some backup drives. And so I need I've been needing for a while a center point for this project. So I bought a 5 terabyte hard drive, external hard drive.
Okay.
They've come down quite a bit in price. And then I'll consolidate all the files, and then I'll go through all the files and figure out what files are for what interview, and go through that effort. And all this just burns a lot of time. And then I will start assembling editable clips. Stuff that just needs to be done, needs to be reviewed, and I just takes a lot of time. So I got maybe, I don't know, probably at least a couple hours worth of interviews we did among 6 people or so from last weekend, no less. So so it every time I do these things, I learn a little more about the lighting approaches and the camera framing approaches and new audio gear that I need, which I have. I think I'm good on that. So anyhow, that has been my long tangent about what has been going on for me. It was stagnant when I started this effort last year, and now I'm at the point where I have enough equipment that I can start doing stuff. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's neat, and I'm looking through little mini monitors and stuff, and I look at footage every once in a while, but it won't really start to come together for me until I start organizing the files, start assembling, the separate audio recordings with, the we had two primary cameras, and then we went for three. Three camera, up to at a certain point. So I got to look at all the, I just have to assemble everything. And once I have a sense of like what people were talking about, I can start building sort of a fundamental thread line of what is happening in these interviews. So
How are you recording the audio for that? Or are you just
I bought two C stands. These are pretty sturdy C stands, and then I bought additionally the booms that have extensions, audio booms, and then again, shock mount kits that are meant to go on there, then handle, holding a shotgun mic. And then I also bought a wired lav, and I just wire everything into another spare field recorder I had bought last year sometime, for purpose of audio recording in the field, the Zoom H6N, whatever the variant is now. So I bought that, and I bought some omnidirectional mics because price was reasonably good. And then I realized, no, I need something better than that, because the omnidirectional ones are fine in a quiet room. They're not good in a noisy environment, isolated, not an isolated environment. So I bought these Movo LV8C cardioid microphones. They're not omnidirectional. When I run them into the H6N will take each of the channels and will drop them to their own separate files. So I have a shotgun mic about a foot and a half away from the subject, and then I have them wire up through and just kind of pin just a normal wired lav mic. And when I sync everything up, the audio is fantastic sounding between the combined.
Do you have a clapper?
I did, but when I was doing the interviews, instead of dragging that thing around, I just had them do, a large clap, kind of like what we do before we start the show.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, the point being is that's enough to get the sync point. And then Premiere has kind of makes it very easy. You can merge files, and what it will do is you tell it what the primary audio source is. It will go ahead and will sync all of your audio tracks and also all your merged files together, along with that, good sync point. The key thing is on your cameras, even if it's the internal mic, you got to record audio so that it has something to sync with those two things. And then, because it's Premiere, you can kind of turn on and off tracks as you see fit. And then, I can flip between, the different camera views. So in the case of three cameras, I would be assembling it manually 3 different ways. However, Premiere's got a multi-camera mode that I haven't played with yet, so maybe I start playing with that. So anyhow, I've been working on sort of that filming stuff, and audio sounds great, and certainly I'll send you a couple snippets of things that are not from last weekend's stuff. That stuff, I'm sure, is going to be baller. I'm sure it's going to be baller. So, but I can't really, I'm not really talking about it. When it comes out, it comes out. And at the event itself, I'm going to be filming, more interviews and stuff. Because getting to people is real difficult unless you make this a full-time job, which this is not. This is a side thing we're doing. So.
Yeah, well, at least you're working on it, right? Working on a project, another one.
Yeah, and there's more, but I think that's fundamentally good enough for the subject of this conversation. I'm making something, John. I'm making something.
Yeah. So I've been working on a project for a while now for work, and it's getting to the end. One of the things is it's for, of course, the company I work for does primarily domain registration. So we're hooking up some extra backends, so different registration partners and stuff. so we can switch between them. We have multiple accounts all over the place, and we want to merge them into like a single cohesive thing. But getting like through transfers and stuff, which is like the most important and possibly difficult part of domain registration, and then getting stuck with support, talking to support people, asking them, hey, how does this work on your system? Why does it not work on your system? Stuff like that. So fun times for me. Yeah. Besides that, I've been working on some NAS stuff. I am preparing to start making videos of making stuff. I put together a cheap NAS. So instead of buying like a knowledge NAS, I already have two in the closet, one for work, one for me. I have built just a regular normal PC basically, but very cheap. I spent I think about $260 on the entire machine, and now I have a 5-point-something terabyte NAS on a gigabit Ethernet. So
how much?
5-point-something. That's after everything has been RAIDified and stuff.
Right.
So I have I think there's 12 terabytes of storage in there, but there's like 5-point-something that you get left afterwards.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's it applies, like the fact that I'm working on something and I bought a 5 terabyte drive as a backup, and this isn't even a high-speed drive. This is just going to be external through USB.
Yeah, so editing off that's going to be fun times.
No, and I won't be doing that. I have an external drive that used to be in a computer that was like a 950 Pro Evo, right? And so I stuck it into. I didn't have any place for it, and it was in a mSATA format or whatever it was. It's not a SATA though. I stuck that into a external drive enclosure.
Yeah.
And so I'm more likely to be editing off that for my clip assemblies. And then once I have the things all sorted out, I'll render them out and I'll move them to wherever it is where the functional editing is. But I won't be editing directly off that drive. That's there for storage and for backup.
Well, you can get a pretty big SSD, external SSD you can work off.
Sure. And you can get you can totally edit off of like the Samsung T5 and stuff like that, and maybe eventually I'll buy one of those. But my point was, my relating reason to go down this tangent line is that 5 terabytes seems like a lot, but when you're a YouTuber and this is your main profession, or you working on big projects,
that's nothing.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
You need to have 120 petabytes or something crazy like that.
Terabytes, but
I know, I was joking, but when you're Marcus MKBHD, you need a couple petabytes.
Yeah,
he's working with AK footage, but that's besides the point. My point being is that 5 terabytes is good if you're doing podcast stuff. That's plenty for a while. Yeah, I mean, you can go through a year and maybe I don't know, what does OG do? I think I was backing up files. I backed up maybe easily near a terabyte, and that was a consolidation of like maybe a third of last year plus whatever was bleeding into this year multiplied by I don't know, 4 podcasts. So, I mean, that considering, right, terabytes go real far.
Polymaticast has been about 500 gigs now.
Yeah, okay.
But that's also the video renders and stuff like that. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, like, terabytes work really well in the framing of audio. Perfectly fine, unless you're doing, crazy audio is your focus, then that's a different story. But when it comes to video, 5 terabytes is nothing. That's just your footage before you even get into like actual, rendering and clip outputs and trailers and your documentary, that stuff like that. Yeah. So, but it's amazing though. There has always been NASs. There's always been disk arrays, but now it's a really large business for prosumer people, not just enterprise businesses.
Yeah, I saw a video from iJustine recently. She had a new NAS.
Yeah, the jellyfish.
Yeah,
The
okay.
LumaForge.
Yeah, but that's more like like an external drive ish. Right.
Well, you can no, you can connect multiple computers to it, and it'll show up on a network. It has its own. I think what she had said in her video was, I think it has 8 10 gigabyte ports on the back of it. So obviously, if you're Linus and you wire that up into like an actual like 10 gigabit network, you can anything that's on the
I think
will
he
have
has
access to.
he has his solution for that already.
Oh, I know he does. But that's besides the point. Yeah, but to buy what she has, that's $40,000 loaded up for 120 terabytes. And you get about 80 terabytes after you format it.
Yep.
Yep, and it's in its RAID format.
So what I did is I bought a Ryzen 3.
Okay.
So just an AMD processor.
Mm-hmm.
It has 8 gigs of memory at the moment, but there are 3 8 gig sticks on its way, so it'll be 32 by the end of it. It uses the onboard video for that, so there's a gig that goes to that. So that's kind of annoying. So there's only 7 gigs for the actual NAS, and I'm running FreeNAS on it, and FreeNAS requires 8 gigs of memory at least. So, and it's saying, oh, it's you should at least have 8 gigs.
Right.
Blah blah.
Yeah.
So I was like, why is there only 8 gigs?
Memory's cheap. I mean, you said that you got more memory coming. So
So
this will be.
I'll have 31 gigs of memory. Just because the video component of the processor takes up a gig.
Could
of
you
memory.
just get a basic video card to put in there?
I could, but then I would not have the space on the motherboard. Actually, I have 3 full PCI Express slots on it, so I should be able to. But my idea is to not just upgrade the memory, but just put in a Ryzen 7 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get a new processor, put that in. Then I have to put in a video card. So that's going to be I'm running FreeNAS, so I can run a virtual machine on that, which is actually pretty cool. It's not. I actually wanted to just run plain Debian and just do my own thing on it, but then I thought, I could do that, or I could just use this product and just work with that instead.
Yeah.
I went the easy way.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty easy to install. It was just follow the thing. The only thing that didn't work properly was the network. I had some trouble with that because I was using a cable that was it only did 100 megabit for some reason. So the UTP cable wasn't a good one apparently. So I replaced it and then it was fine. Then I could reach the speeds that I wanted to. So it was all good.
Yeah, you would think that my needs would make sense for me to buy a NAS or build a NAS. They're just very costly.
It's the hard drives that's the problem. Those are expensive.
Yeah,
but as soon as you put but if you get a simple machine, like one of your current machines could just work for it. If it has 8 gigs of memory, it will be fine. You can just load it up with disks. Getting the case with the disks and keeping them cool is probably the hardest option. But you can get a pretty good deal on Western Digital NAS's NAS disks, and then all you have to do is put in an extra SSD for caching, and then it's really fast. So you can have a NAS with 2 or 3 disks. You just put 2 5 terabyte disks in it, and then you have your own NAS with your stuff. Just have it mirrored. So one of the drives can fail, and you'll still have all your data.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a good option for you instead of doing what you're doing right now. Because as soon as that might be good for offloading the data for when you're doing your shoot, but as soon as you're home, you want to edit on it. If you have your own network with a gigabit Ethernet, that's fine to edit off. You don't have to be a Linus Tech Tips and have a 10 gig Ethernet connection.
And
everything.
For OG, I edit it locally, right? I have copy of the stuff that's still on the SD card. I copy that over. I edit where I need. The footprint is pretty small, and then eventually time passes, and I literally just move those files off to another hard drive that is never really touched other than under these circumstances for backup. So it doesn't have a lot of wear level on it because it's not, but it is spun up and, it comes alive every, several times a year and has exactly what I need. Now,
yeah, but
if
I meant for your video
backup,
project. I meant for your video project.
Right, for the film, however, yeah, it's right now it's backed up twice over, and it's likely going to still be backed up twice over. It's going to be on this main drive, where it's basically the archive of the footage for people to copy and transfer from, and then the editing will be a whole separate drive, right? And I already have a resource for that, and I will probably later on, because this is all like, this isn't a for-profit thing. So as a result of it, it's money's coming out of my pocket, which is keeping me from doing other things. But, I'm doing something with my money that has like a valid purpose. And I think for me that allows me to be patient about getting other things sorted out in life that I want. Because I'm just, I think it's the nature of people who make or who are creative, right? You need tools. You get tools. And this isn't a tool that is uniquely exclusive to this. I can use it for backing up the podcast, if I needed to do that. 5 terabytes is going to go a long way. However, it's not going to last that long given the enormous amount of footage that I'm going to be consolidating into one place at some point. And even those extra backup drives. Right now, they're holding other things. The one drive that's holding a lot of the podcast backup has that 400 gigs. I had to clear out a bunch of stuff I didn't really need anymore to gain up 425 gigs so that I could copy over 399 gigs, onto it.
Yep.
That stuff's just not fun. Especially if failure occurs. Oh, it's a lot of time.
Yep.
It's a lot of time. It really is.
Well, I want it to have a space because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos this year. Not just for for the Good Enough project, but also for like the art stuff. Mm-hmm. I need a lot of space, and I need to offload all that stuff onto. I have several machines in the house, so I have a specific machine for doing artwork. I have a specific machine for doing games. A specific machine for doing video editing. Well, actually, the game and the video editing machine is the same thing. Also, that's where I do the audio editing. But
right, yeah,
it's the same. It's the same machine.
Editing machine.
Game/editing machine.
Yeah.
It's a Core i7 6700K, but I haven't overclocked it yet. So it's like I bought the most, the best one I could get, which was overclockable, and I got a motherboard that supports overclocking, and I never overclocked it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
My brain is looking at. I've been thinking about streaming, things and whatnot, and to achieve that, I don't know. I don't think the venture, the amount of investment I need to make will give me the kind of the results I'm hoping for.
You did buy a capture card, right?
I did. I have 2. I have the Elgato Cam Stick, and then per your sort of gripe, you shouldn't have done that. You should have gotten this. And then I looked at that, the AverMedia, something whatever plus.
Live Gamer Portable.
Yeah. And I looked at that and I go, oh, okay. Price being what it is. I was like, okay. But my big adventure was, can I get the cameras that I have to give me a clean screen if I turn off all the little displays? And no, absolutely. The video that is coming out of my old Canons, and I'm including my roommate's camera because he doesn't use it at all. He bought it. It's too fancy for him. So he put it on a shelf. So he lets me use it for my purposes, like, what I'm doing right now. These things will put out a mirror image of what it has on your LCD.
Yeah, but there's like all sorts of crap on there.
Right. Or it's not full, like, or you got your little recording indicator on and stuff like that. Where on newer cameras, I guess even including Canons,
Yeah.
You can get into a mode where it's just outputting.
Yep.
And
I think my
cameras,
camera was the last one, the 600D. It's the last one that had that problem.
Okay.
And then everything after that is just fine.
Right.
It's just
so
my freaking luck.
But I mean, this is when Canon and all of them were still they were giving people much more value for their money. But they were completely objecting, even at their like high scale, like their 5D Mark whatever. They were still objecting to people making films, quality looking cinematic films out of their 5D Mark 1s. They were like, these are not video cameras. So they did all kinds of little things like limit how long you can record or this or that. And they went out of their way to be difficult about it. And eventually they just, I guess, passed the 600D. They said, okay, fine. So the the T4i and higher in the Rebel series obviously don't have this problem anymore. They just accepted this is what people are doing. However, it's also been very good for them. It's been profitable because people are buying these things. So they're giving people very good limited video capability, for given price and product.
Yeah. I've been looking at getting the Sony 6400, was it?
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at too.
Oh. But then again, I have all these lenses.
Yeah,
it seems like a
I
waste.
didn't make that mistake. Just because out of finances, I found that my needs and my use case, my wants were higher than my actual like use case, and my use case was very limited. So it didn't. I bought one lens, right, and I got it. I got a pretty good lens given its price, because it was like, when you're making that first investment for a little bit of an upgrade, you gotta. So if you don't know how to test the waters, don't do it with like a $3,000 lens. Do it with like a $600 lens, and even then, $600 is a lot of money. So at the time, it was the risk I was taking. Turned out pretty good lens, but it's a Canon lens.
Yep, very expensive.
So the other thing you can do is you can spend a couple $100 and get yourself a mount.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do is just save the money and not spend stuff on a camera, because I have one that works and it works good. And produces good footage. So I should just learn to live with the 20-minute time that I have between shots.
Yeah, and
I just use I have several GoPros, so I should be able to just use those for like time lapses and stuff, and just use that for longer footage. To have that running in the background. The problem is that the GoPros are shit because they randomly turn off for some reason, which is very annoying. So yeah, and then their battery is good. Nothing wrong with the battery. It's just their software on the machines are bad. Probably need to update the firmware at some point. But
I think my cameras work. My needs are higher now considering this
project.
Documentary project. But the gap of time is so large at this point. I'm ready for a new camera, and I foresee that my needs right now and my needs next year will probably be as elevated. And I think there's value for me to make a budget for buying a new camera, right? So it does include getting a new body, and it does include getting a new lens. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to get into mirrorless cameras.
Yeah.
Because again, my use cases and my needs are, the buying decision I made in 2010 was perfectly fine, but now it's 2019, and I need something a little bit more modern and something a little bit lighter, and obviously, what I hear about I was watching the Verge video on the EOS R, right, And even then, the body on that camera is still like an $1,800, $2,000 body before you get to the lenses.
Yeah.
Right. So A6400 is $900 for the body, and that does not include lenses. So you're going to spend probably another $900 for a good lens. I buy what I need now, and you got to buy a second lens. So the budget on that is about $2,000.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching. But that A7, like an A7S3 Mark, whatever, or right. That alone right there will cost you $2,500 for the body, not including the lenses. So, look, when I bought my other camera, it was $900, right, with a kit lens. And then, eventually I spent another $600 on another lens, the only other lens that I've ever bought. And it's a great lens. So these things aren't cheap, right? But I have like actual valid purpose for it, right? And when it's just a hobby and you're just an enthusiast and your whole life outside of work isn't like photography and making videos that go on YouTube that turn a profit, it doesn't make sense for me to be spending $2,500 when I have it on something like that. But my needs are growing, and this is the kind of stuff I always wanted to do. So it's not I have a real valid purpose to utilize it. Right? And so if I start amassing the gear, which I am, all the supporting act of stuff, it makes sense. Which goes back into the long point of like what we're talking about today, which is like storage. When you put got something to store digitally, where do you do with it? What's your solution for that? So
not just for like video stuff, because for my art stuff, I have art files that are like PSDs that are like 1-2 gigs of per version. So I have like 3 or 4 versions of like, I save it to a new file because I'm afraid something might crash or something. So then eventually I save all that to my NAS. I think there's like 500 gigs of art. Yeah, not just that, just on my Synology NAS. That's put into Dropbox, like a duplicate copy to Dropbox. And
synchronizes across everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's not synchronized on every machine because I can't put like 500 gigs of storage on my MacBook and on this machine and on that machine just for the artwork. I mean, can't just copy that all, because that's where Dropbox is pretty good with the selective sync, because you can say, okay, I just want this. Except for when everything disappears, which I've had to have happen on my thing.
Well,
luckily I had a backup that wasn't synced that day yet.
And that's the danger with using sort of off-sync services. So let's talk about that for a sec, because I want to talk about like the hardware turnkey NAS solutions, right? I mean, we have a bunch on the list here. We were talking about LumaKey, LumaForge, Jellyfish, the tower that iJustine has. I say has because for all we know, that was a sponsored video.
And she's already
the sponsorship was they gave it to her, they sent it to her, and she's like, "Sure, I'll do a video. I love gear." Like that right there. I would probably say yes to that too. But
please sponsor us. Yes.
Yeah, sponsor me, and I'll say yes.
Give me hardware.
Give me a $40,000 device. Make my life easy.
I wonder what the energy cost for that machine will be.
Oh, I'm sure it's not good. These things are not server. When you get these are like in the range of server technology. Your bills.
Oh, I
go up.
know. You're at least you spend at least another $5 on power every month.
Oh yeah, at the very least. My bills here when I had the other servers, even when I just had 1 or 2 of them on, I was spending a good extra $100 a month or something. And I think the pricing on electricity was higher then, but that's still the point. It was like, wow, I'm not doing anything with these things. Why? I'm just letting them sit there, stay on all the time. And so I turned them all off. They're literally just, lead weights, sitting in there in the room holding up holding up a monitor.
So I have two Synology NASs in my hallway closet, and
Yeah.
one of them is for work, one of them is for myself. But I maybe spend like maybe $5 a month on that,
Yeah.
on the energy costs. But this new one, yeah, that's gonna take a little bit more power because there's like
Sure.
four. I think there's four. Yeah, there's 4 drives in there.
But she also has a business attached to it, so she can justify write-offs and justify, income that's associated with that, whether
Yeah,
that
okay.
was just given to her or not. So so let's talk about what most people do, which is the sort of the collaborative off-sync, your Dropboxes. So I have Dropbox. I've been a fan of Dropbox for a long while. Even in its early days, you and I were probably among the first probably few thousand in the world to pay
Yep.
for stuff because I use it all the time. And
I've been
the
paying
advantage,
for years.
yeah, and the advantage is, and they keep like every year my quota or something for the same basic cost or less cost, whatever I'm paying every year. They keep giving me more quota because I've been a customer for so long.
Oh, they don't do that for me.
I don't know, it's like over a terabyte or something. Maybe it's 2 terabytes or something, but I don't have any system that has 2 terabytes on it right now as a running operating system. So my general files are synced across 3 boxes. 3 systems, basically my laptop, another laptop, and then this one, that we talked through when we went down here in the studio. And 2 of those are not always on. So, the advantage is if I have a screw up or something, I can disconnect, them from, and I have sort of an out of sync, version of said files.
That caused me some trouble in the past because what I had is a Mac Mini that I hadn't had on for a while. Turned the Mac Mini on and started synchronizing and removing everything from my Dropbox. So everything was gone.
I use it more of a little bit of a easy backup, but also as a synchronization point because I can get to it externally. So if I download, I don't know, an extension or something or a utility, or I rebuild a utility for myself at home, and then I take, a utility I built on my own time and I bring it into work and I use it with, stuff at work, I just I put it on the Dropbox, and then when I'm at work, I sign in through the website and I download, my app. So I use it in all kinds of ways like that to off-sync some stuff. But I don't use it as a primary focus as a backup. And a lot of people think that Dropbox is your backup. Google Drive's my backup. Well, it really shouldn't be. It should be a backup that you don't care about if it goes away for some reason, right? If catastrophe happens, it's good to have as like an additional backup beyond your 2 backups. But don't use it as your focus point as it's my only backup. That's not a real backup solution. And then you get the ones you pay for like Carbon and whatever. They used to push on that a lot. You can pay for those things. You can pay $20 a month or whatever it is for those things, but they're basically a version of Dropbox.
Yeah.
They're their own cooked solution as Dropbox, except their marketing point to you is, back up your Excel and word processing files, all your iTunes MP3s. Like, okay, that's perfectly fine. But if you're making a film documentary, Dropbox is not Google Drive, OneDrive. These are not Box. These are not the places you should be your only backup
definitely not. No.
source. You should have a physical thing that you can detach, put on a shelf, and let it collect some dust. And ironically, iJustine will always get picked on. There's a video Linus went to iJustine's house, and he's just like, there's another dozen drives here. Because she just buys, these
unpacking
for and just piles them up, and that's what most people's backup solutions are. Ironically,
yeah. But as soon as that, if you drop that or something happens, like with water or something like that, and it's gone.
But if it stays in your studio and everything is safe for a long while, but if that's not the only place you do your backup, if that's just like the first backup, and then it's version of those files are copied somewhere else that is your primary backup, that's perfectly okay, except that you'll have a bookshelf or a closet full of hard drives.
So what I have now is I have a Synology NAS with attached
Right.
that there's a USB drive,
Mm-hmm.
a 2 terabyte USB drive that I bought for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just mirroring the entire NAS, doing that once a
Yeah.
day, just a copy, backup copy.
Okay.
That's what saved my ass when I had some trouble with Mac Mini cloning everything over itself.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bit of a mess. Now I have a copy on the new NAS that I built, and I have several copies on disks in machines. So I have like physical, like ye olde disk drives full of data.
Mm-hmm.
Copies of copies of copies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then I've got some portable drives here and there, which also contain the same files. So it's like I've got copies of copies of copies.
Right. So you have Synology, which makes pretty good, affordable NAS turnkey solutions,
Oh yeah,
like the LumaForge, right? Where
no,
as
it's
long as
not as
you,
fast.
it's not going to be as fast, of
Yeah.
course, because the price point isn't $40,000. Now, $40,000 includes the price tag of all 120 terabyte drives, and these are quality drives. These aren't the things you go over to your local computer store and just pop off the shelf. These are slightly higher speed drives. Are meant to always be on and running, and you know what I mean. They're sort of more data center level.
Yeah.
They're not the thing that goes in your laptop that you're going to replace in 2 years, right? It's not that kind of drive. Those drives, those you can get off Amazon, Newegg, and whatever it is. Those things, and keep in mind, you can from Amazon and CDS and Newegg, you can buy data center level,
If they're
Barracuda,
also
Seagate
very
drives.
loud.
Right. They're also very loud because they're meant to be in data centers in cooled, temperature controlled environments and stuff like that. So they're meant for you to take care of them, and they'll take care of you for whatever your needs are there. But they're also meant to be always on. So the kinds of things you get in your laptops, you stick in your gamer edition system, even when you get it with a turnkey solution, like pre-built, those drives are not meant to serve the purpose of high intensity. Even if you buy a high end one, they're not. Their life cycle, their lifetime life is shorter than something like one of those drives that's designed to be abused and have high data rates of transfer.
Yep.
Right. However, those things get abused. It's like Iron Man competition every second for them, and they don't last as long. That's why you have these fault tolerance mechanisms, like these network array systems. So all right. So Synology is a turnkey, pretty affordable. It is going to cost you something if you want something big. You're looking like on average, you're looking at a few $100s for something like a tiny little mini thing that sits on your desk. If you're looking for something a little larger, does a little bit more.
Well, that depends. So Synology NAS is the cheapest is like 100 something euros.
Right. Okay.
But then you still need to buy the drives.
Right. That's not for the drives. Right.
But
Okay.
and then the drives you can don't get a one bay because you want to have like some duplication of the data.
Right.
So just get something that's it's a little bit more than one drive. Get one with 2 or something.
So without getting into RAIDs, there's different configurations, which has to do with a lot of backups and stuff like that. Most of the time, the solutions kind of don't tell you what they're doing. They just kind of make it very easy for you to pick a couple presets, and it's either like RAID 0, where like all the disks are all combined as one big volume,
and then as soon as one of the disks fails, then everything
the whole
is
thing
gone.
is basically gone. Then there's different RAID configurations, which again they say, well, do you want it to be fault tolerant? Well, yes, I do. And then what it does is it will sort of mirror and stripe across the volumes so that not all the things are in one place, or they're all in one place or in a set of places, partitioned across and copied and duplicated. And so if a drive fails, you pull it out, you put it back in, and it sort of self-recopies and resorts itself out automatically.
Yeah.
And that's the way those RAID and disk array systems work. So these NASs, their whole point, their purpose is that you stick them on a high-speed wired network, and then you can, regardless of your operating system, you all can mount to it through that network. And in these higher class systems or builds like Linus Tech Tips does, or the Lumiforge Jellyfish that we were mentioning, I mentioned a bunch of times, those things are designed so that everyone can edit their 8K off the same drive at the same time, but not in the same project, right? So, which the complexity of doing that without a lot of error is pretty significant, and that's why they cost a lot of money, because they're tested heavily.
I think that Linus Tech Tips uses Unraid for their giant storage machine, which is already full. Wow, it's just so amazing that they can.
But they also put out tremendously. They put out a lot of video.
Yeah, right? and they hoard all the data.
Yeah, and they hoard all the data. But some of that is also customer, sponsored stuff too.
Okay, so we had Synology. That's an option. They do pretty good stuff. Then there's QNAP, which is also a similar type thing. I'm not a fan of theirs because I've seen some stuff that exploded and didn't work as good. So
I remember them pretty early on providing NASs to a consumer, right? And I don't know. I don't look at QNAP and go, oh yeah, they're really quality stuff, because I don't.
I just wanted to mention them as like one you should get.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend them, but I also don't have a current opinion about their hardware, because
I do, and I say don't get them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's other things you can even get stuff from, like, Western Digital has their own like little NASs for the consumer. But in that case, I think if you really are concerned about data, what you're buying and what you're backing up, I think like a solution like a company like Synology is probably a little better for you.
Yeah, and they have some pretty cool stuff. So you can hook up. I think there's a license for 2 cameras. You can put in 2 IP cameras if they're in your network. You can have them record your stuff.
Yeah, and I
play
think
a little
for
bit
stuff
of
like that,
paranormal activity or something, right? So if you want to go see more about Synology, Polymatic /P6 for that. QNAP is Polymatic /P9. I don't have good experiences with them, but I wanted to mention them because they also do this kind of stuff. And I might have had a bad experience, but
Yeah, to each their own.
Yeah. And what I did for my stuff was basically just get a machine. So if you have an old machine that you want to reuse, you have enough space for some drives, get something like FreeNAS, which is free. You can just boot it off a USB key and then install it. And you want to put a SSD in there for like the base operating system. But other than that, it works pretty nice. You can run virtual machines on it and stuff. So you can run Windows on top of it. That's pretty cool. And then there is the alternative for that, which is Unraid, which you pay for, and that's something that they were using at Linus Tech Tips, I think.
Yeah, what's the cost? What's the price point?
I don't remember, but it is like $50.
Okay,
so it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to mention, which is something that we've been playing with at work. So we have we have 2 giant EMC storage solutions.
Refrigerators.
So basically, they take up. Yeah. I think they take up like an entire case by themselves. Yeah, entire network data center.
Like server rack.
Server rack.
Server rack. The whole rack.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I've had professional experience with EMC on and off out throughout the years. In fact, there used to be right where I worked for the longest time. An EMC, not a headquarters, because they didn't start out in Pennsylvania, but they had a predominant location, and people that I previously worked with that were like, part of their job was like server and, SANs and disk array solutions and stuff like that. Wanted to go work there, and I was like, I thought about for a moment maybe I should go work for EMC.
Well, they got bought by Dell, and now it's
Yeah,
Dell
they got
EMC.
bought by Dell. Yeah,
But I have to say, we're getting some new stuff in there. It's like hardware, interesting hardware. So, yeah.
EMC does a good job.
But this is not something that you want to buy for yourself.
No, this
is more along the lines of the LumaForge Jellyfish.
Right.
And this will produce a lot of noise. But if you have the space, pretty nice hardware.
Linus and the group, they're smart guys. They're likely going to want to roll their own solution with the resources because they want a level of control over it. But if Linus is like, I'm out, I just want to ka-ching, cash in, and whoever buys his whole media group turns it into a big professional business and builds a big old data center, sure, yeah, there's going to be a couple EMC cabinets for their stuff. But these are things that are for data centers. These are not for in your the closet underneath your stairs in your house. They have a capital expense and they have some operational expense aside from paying for the power bill.
Yeah.
So those are serious solutions.
Well, even with like your own homegrown machine with like lots of disks in it, the disks take a lot of power, more than you think, and they will get warm. They need to be cooled, and you're basically just heating up your apartment with electricity.
Well, you were trying to suggest, your solution is, and I laughed, it's because I'm sitting in a cold basement right now. And the basement is generally a good 10 degrees, even on summertime, cooler down here. So I'm like, that's really not an issue. I got a room over here. I can stick it in the corner. I can stick it over there. Like, what I mean? For me to stick, like a Synology down here or
but a Synology is not going to,
or something.
The Synology is not going to take too much power. Also, the drives in that will be powered down most of the time.
But the drives will be perfectly happy from a temperature point and perspective.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, 90 degrees Fahrenheit down here, which it never is. At best, it's maybe 70 degrees down here without like the aid of a heating system or something. Like if it's really super hot outside, it's like 60 degrees down here at its worst.
So if you want to build a free NAS, Polymatic.media/P7, this is the website for free NAS. The link for Dell EMC is Polymatic.media/PA. We have another one, which is the Storinator at 45 drives. It's something that Linus Tech Tips is using. Polymatic.media/PB. And a Linus Tech Tip petabyte project video, which is very cool.
And that's a perfect
P8. This is if you have either too much money, too much time. Yeah.
Well, they have a professional need aside from the nerd in them having fun. But also, I mean, he seriously invested. There's been how many videos where the people who work from over the weekend are basically working for 20 hours, trying to rebuild their server closet.
Yeah.
Their need is higher than you would think.
Anyway, either way, for me, it's never going to be this big.
Yeah. Unless Linus is like, John, you need a Storinator. Let me hook you up with a partnership.
Yeah.
Sponsored video by 45 Drives. You're not big enough. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Too bad.
You don't have millions of whatever. So no one's just throwing hardware at you. Or shipping it to you.
So are you gonna try to get a NAS for yourself?
I don't think it's
because you do have some machines, right?
I do. I mean, I have this one here, but it's only turned on when it's needed. I have needs where I would have some value in that. if this is more of a run and gun thing and there was income from it and it made sense to have a real solution, sure, I would spend a few $1,000s if I had it to spend, but I'm not in that situation right now.
But you can build a machine for, I think, estimate about $400, which will do the amount of space that you need.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
You don't have a wired network down there.
No, I don't, but I don't have an immediate need right now, and I'm not here, not this location, interested in doing that. I think those finances will go to other places when I have them, right? And so I think that's my ultimate point. Even though these price points are a lot cheaper, for me it's easier to spend $110, buy another 5 terabyte drive, and do the casual backups, because my time is I set it to do the copies, and I monitor it while I do other things. Go play a game on the Switch, monitor it, check it, looks like it's fine. Like, that is way more affordable of a practice for me for my general needs. Aside from this documentary, all my needs have been, the only person that cares about that is me. Let's say someone comes along and buys OG Networks. Okay, one, it's never ever going to happen. But if it does, that business is likely going to have or want to build, has a data center or something, built behind their business. OG Networks isn't a business. So if I lose...
You're looking forward to Spotify buying your podcast?
Yeah, all $1. So
I'd have to pay them.
Oh, right, you were saying I would have to pay them for them to buy me. Look, I mean, OG alone is going to be hitting 14 years in a few months actually. So in 14 years, I got to say that we have done multiple millions of downloads, right? Over 14 years. We don't do millions of downloads a year. In fact, ironically, the one show, the useless show, is equating, if not doing better, in terms of downloads compared to OG. But OG's been around 14 years, right? People tire of things that are always present. So there, I don't think there's any value prop to buy. That's what I'm saying, is that people have gotten their fill, over corresponding 14 years. So those who are chronic to not letting change happen are the only ones who are hanging around, I'm sure. So I don't know that the podcasts that I do, and also we just do them, right? I have the skills. I have better skills than like what I produce, but we just produce this stuff, right? We just kind of do it as a casual thing.
Yeah.
Our casual thing might be comparatively to the 6 million probably podcasts that are out there, in a higher average, because this is just our casual thing. I do invest money into it because it's our casual thing. It's a thing that I've been doing, but I'm not spending $10,000 a year. Like every few years, if I'm making a big purchase, I spend hundreds of dollars. My next big purchase in relationship to all this stuff down here is the board. It's going to cost me $1,000. And then my eventual in my mind is replace the microphones. And I have a particular brand and model of microphone that I've been meaning to step up to for the last 14 years. And that's going to cost me, when I'm all said and done, about $2,000 to do that. And I'm going to do that occasionally over time. But I don't think I'm going to spend $3,000 in 2019 on that gear. I might in the next 3 years. So my long tangent goes back to the point related to the NAS. does it make sense for me to spend even $400 or whatever to have an NAS sitting around for that purpose? And my answer is no, I don't think so. I can do it for less based on a self-management effort, right? But if I was turning profit, if I was turning $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, then absolutely I'd spend a few $1,000s on the solution.
Well, I thought that the video you shared with me this week and that you're about to share in the fun stuff.
That's
I thought
a perfect
that was
solution.
like a thing where it's like, this is a good example why you want to have backups and make sure your stuff is on multiple locations.
Yeah. All right. So anyhow, point being is, there's a bunch of turnkey solutions, and you can just like DLSR or even high quality cameras. You buy the body separate from the lenses. Well, the same thing goes with these storage solutions. You buy the storage mechanism device, the NAS itself, separate from the hard drives. However, you can buy them combined with, and you got to keep in mind, not all hard drives are the same. The slower the RPM, the worse your access writes and sustain reads are. So if you're putting 4,800 RPM, God knows why you want to do that, or 5,400 RPM drives into your NAS, and you suspect you're going to edit off it. That's red flags all over that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to keep in mind that the quality of the hardware you stick into your NAS has a lot to do with your quality of result that you're looking
The problem is if you put faster drives in there, you're going to wear them out faster, and they're going to go kaput. And then if you have 4,500 RPM drives, that's fine for editing.
Again, it's the mentality you set for it. If it's a backup mechanism, it's your library, makes sense. If it is for you to edit off of, you need a higher tiered, better quality service. And sometimes there's turnkeys if you don't want to be the nerd who figures out how to do Unraid or FreeNAS. However, you want to do that, Linus and a whole bunch of other people have videos and lots of information on how they did it successfully.
Yep.
Linus's approach to it is at very high scale.
He's overkill.
Yeah, he's overkill, but they're editing. There's he's got I don't know, half a dozen people editing all at once on multiple projects, but he's got a business wrapped around it too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It depends on your solution. So I guess we're gonna move on to fun stuff. Is that the plan?
Yep.
Okay. So there's this guy, Christopher Bing. He used to make videos a long time ago. He is now kind of making videos again as a center focus. He did it on and off. I know him through another YouTuber that I like and follow, Tom Ska. They grew up together, and so he just kind of, people always refer to him as Bing. Christopher Bing is his last name. So anyhow, he decided to start a project last year called Past Bing, Future Bing. And basically, he set himself towards an effort of recording, filming footage for the intent of a vlog every single day in 2018. And so the project itself is, some days when you subscribe in 2019, you go on this project, you might see something that happened to him of interest in 2018, and then you get that might be the whole thing, or it could be combined with him future Bing talking to himself past Bing, reflecting on the vlog that he just shared, and sometimes it's also just present day, future Bing. So it's called Past Bing, Future Bing. And so this video is one of those half and halves. And so this, I think, kind of explains the project really well. But if you make anything, your intentions and your results usually aren't married to each other, especially if you can't predict them. And so I thought this was a perfect example, and I thought something that I've related to, and I'm sure that John can relate to. Polymatic.link/PE. And this goes great with our topic of network storage systems.
Backups.
Yeah. SD cards are not backups.
Yeah, definitely not. And they die after a few years if they don't read the data off it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so get some music. I've been listening to Kings by Frameworks, which is an album. It's actually really good. I really love it. Polymatic.link/PC for that.
I got one. So I mentioned before in the past, there's lots of artists that I like and listen to are releasing new stuff. Like you get some big bands who only release an album every 3 years, right? Whatever it is. Now these are independent artists. They're releasing albums or releasing EPs. I really do like Dodie Clark's music. She's had pretty good albums. She released a new one, a new EP actually, not album, recently, and this is one of the tracks off that, and I love this track. I can't, for weeks I could not get this song out of my head.
Okay.
It's called Monster. They eventually released a video. Polymatic.link/PD. Oh, D for Dodie. Perfect.
Okay.
And the song's awesome. The EP's awesome. Yeah, so anyhow, Polymatic.link/PD.
Okay, so I got a book recommendation. It's not out yet, so I haven't read it, but it's from the same writer as 14 and The Fold and Paradox Band. I've shared that stuff before. Peter Clines. He is coming out with a new book next week, the 14th, called Dead Moon. It's about zombies on the moon.
Okay.
I think it's about zombies on the moon. Polymatic.link/P5 for that. And he's a good writer, so it's probably going to be great. So we're really looking forward to that. And then The Expanse is coming out next month.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And then there's more and more. And there's a new book by same writer as Seven Eves and Rise and Fall of Dodo. I can't remember his name right now. But that's coming out soon too. So, yay. Pre-ordered all of them. Oh, and there's a audio book coming out from the guy who does Expeditionary Force. That's coming out soon in March as well. So I'm going to be full up of audiobooks soon. So yeah.
Yeah. Discovery still remaining to be good. Star Trek Discovery. And then Orville season 2 came out. At least 1 or 2 episodes have been released.
I actually like this season of Discovery more than the last one.
Yeah, me too. They were just being like dark and distorted for the sake of, and now they're actually like have something to work with.
Yeah. They're a bit quick on the ending of the episodes though. So the last episode that came out, it was kind of, the plot with the woman that she kept seeing. It was
night.
Like, huh? Why is it? It was like done in a minute. Like the ending was done in a minute. Oh, they figured out what's going on. Bloop, and done.
Yeah. Sure, but isn't that like what most Star Treks are? They magically sort of sort themselves out in the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
But they're pivoting.
It was really sudden.
Like we have to be done with this topic so that we can pivot on to. So we're at the snap. Snap.
Yeah.
We gotta wait for the crackle and the pop.
So the Expanse came out on Amazon Prime.
Oh, it did do it this week though?
Season 3, 1, 2, and 3 came out, and they're gonna release the new season soon-ish.
Soon, yeah. I'm waiting.
Because they just wrapped, I think, but they probably already have a couple of episodes. So.
Production.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that. And then the new book of The Expanse is going to come out next month. So I'm going to be in 2 different timelines.
You're going to be talking about The Expanse. You're going to be.
But this is so much better than having to wait a year on season 3. I mean, come on. They could have done that sooner, but I guess it was there was a Netflix thing that they had to take care of, and
John, you should start a project. called Past Expanse, Future Expanse.
Yeah. No. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Alan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter. CHAESS is my last name.
So you can find me on Twitter at WebDevy, WEBDEVVIE. For feedback, you can reach us at podcast@Polymatic.media. The music in this episode is by Say Unz, which you can find at polymatic.link/EK. Our Twitter is The Polymatic. Our website is Polymatic.media, and I hope you tune in next time.